prevent any act of genocide anywhere in the world. Absolutely.
Thank you. Monica, and then Alice.
Foreign Secretary, you talked about core funding going to organisations on the ground that are trying to help with the upholding of international humanitarian law. So the UK gives money to the International Humanitarian Fact-Finding Commission, which Poland asked to look at the attacks on the World Central Kitchen, but Britain didn't. And I'm just interested in why we didn't, because Poland did so in a way in which to restore an attitude of respect to IHL. So that's a very specific question. On a broader question, our commitment to the principles of IHL and the humanitarian principles, particularly in the distribution of aid, humanity, impartiality, neutrality and independence, are obviously not being upheld with GHF. Now, for us to claim a commitment to these principles, or for the government to claim a commitment to these principles, there have to be consequential action if those are violated. So my question to you is, what consequential action can we take for these violations of humanitarian law in whichever country, Sudan or Israel? And can I just finish? Sorry, just one last point. And this comes back to your point about recognition of Palestinian state. And you talked about other countries and nothing happened. Britain is not other countries. We have a really, really key role, as you know, and as you have been proud of and said in the past. We have a key role on the world stage in our upholding of international humanitarian law and our commitment to democracy and democratic principles. Surely we can do more.
What more would you like?
I've already laid out what we could do in Israel. That's only some of this. But my question is to you, Foreign Secretary. What do you think we should do? Well, otherwise, as you said, it's a race to the bottom.
I do think the Foreign Secretary has answered that. But if you want to come back with more, Foreign Secretary.
Well, that's the point. I listed all the things that we have done. I think the implication of your question is that it's not sufficient. I think the implication of your question is that you'd like us to recognise. I think we had a lengthy debate about recognition. And there are clearly views around the table, and you've expressed yours. Ms Gilbert has expressed hers. I've explained the balance that we are weighing. I've sensed some frustration from some members, including the committee chair, in relation to that. But I'm not sure, that's why I put it back to you, what more, other than that, would you like us to do? Because I am certainly satisfied that we've met our obligations under international humanitarian law. I'm not satisfied, and I have said that in the strongest terms, with the behaviour of the Israeli government in relation to aid, in relation to the treatment of prisoners, and in relation to expansion and violence on the West Bank particularly. I have also conveyed that and taken action in relation to that.
Sorry, Alice.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask specifically about the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, linking the last two questions that we've had. Obviously, reports that hundreds of people have been killed trying to access aid, and including recently aid workers as well. I know you have said at other committees that you, of course, don't support the approach of the foundation, but can you tell us more about how we've been raising those concerns with both the Americans and the Israeli government? And also, are you concerned that it will set a precedent for how aid could be delivered in other contexts, for example in Sudan, if it becomes semi-militarised? So 2 questions on the specifics and wider implications about what that model might mean for the future.
Well, in a way, this goes to slide 2 that is in front of you. And what that infographic shows is that there are 443,000 pallets of aid at the borders. Shelter, medicine, water, sanitation items. Over 136,000 pallets are still in Egypt. More than 130,000 pallets in Jordan. In excess of 120,000 pallets in Ashdod, and a further 505,000 pallets in the West Bank. Nearly 3,000 trucks waiting for dispatch. We are in disagreement with the Israeli governments about why those trucks are still waiting at borders. And we believe that those trucks should have gone in, and we believe in the last ceasefire we saw the sorts of volumes that are required in relation to aid and distribution. we disagree with the new system, which is why we